Good morning and welcome to Neighborhood Church. My name is Audrey and I get to work with our pre-T kids here. And I just want to say you picked a really good weekend to be here. If this is your first time at Neighborhood, welcome. We're so glad you found your way here. After the service, head out to the patio and look for the new Here Hub. We'd love to say hi and hand you a free gift as a thank you for being here. To stay updated on what's happening around Neighborhood, we have a page on our website called The Top 3. It's at neighborhoodchurch.org/top3. And we update it each week with next steps and upcoming events. On this week's Top 3, we have Mother's Day coming up on May 10th and our Kingdom Quest Kids Camp at both campuses. But the thing we really want you to hear about this week is Salsa Sunday, which is happening next Sunday, May 3rd at both campuses. Cinco de Mayo falls on a Tuesday this year, so we're starting the fiesta early with food trucks, a family photo op, and here at our Visalia campus, we're having a salsa tasting competition. If you think you have the best salsa here at Neighborhood, you can sign up today at neighborhoodchurch.org. Salsa Sunday is one of those Sundays where you think of one person you've been wanting to invite and you just do it. Just ask them to come sit with you at church. Some of the most meaningful things that happen here start with someone simply saying, "Come sit with me." And that generosity is the same heart behind why Neighborhood exists. Because people here have decided to be generous with what they have. They give for our community, for the people in it, and for the ones who haven't even walked through these doors yet. If you'd like to give to the mission today, you can do that online at neighborhoodchurch.org/give by texting NC Visalia or NC Kingsburg to 77977 or using one of the giving boxes in the back as you leave. In just a moment, we'll sing together, and then after that, our lead pastor for us is kicking off a brand new teaching series called Sleeping Giant, which I think is super inspiring for all of us this morning. Altogether, we'll be here for about an hour. Thanks again for being here today.
You guys to stand and sing with us this morning. can't help but lift up shouts of joy. And when I think of how good you've been, you're faithful now until the end. Oh, I can't help but praise you, Lord. Oh, I can't help but praise you, Lord. Oh, I can't help but praise you, Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. He's been my fourth man in the fire, time after time. Born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. And what He did for me on Calvary is more than enough. So I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. Oh, I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. Perfect submission, all is at rest. I know the author of tomorrow has ordered my steps. So this is my story, this is my song, praising my risen King and Savior all the day long. Oh, I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. Oh, I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust Him. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust Him. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust Him. in the earth, in the answer. I sought the Lord in the earth, in the answer. I sought the Lord in the earth, in the answer. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. I sought the Lord in the earth, in the answer. I sought the Lord in the earth, in the answer. I sought the Lord in the earth, in the answer. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust Him. I sought the Lord in the earth, in the answer. I sought the Lord in the earth, in the answer. I sought the Lord in the earth, in the answer. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna fear the storm just because I hear it roar. I don't wanna fear the storm. No, I don't wanna fear the storm. Peace be still, say the word, and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm
you so much for worshiping with us this morning. Go ahead and have a seat. Take a look at the screen.
Neighborhood Church, how we doing? Fantastic. So good to be with you. And I also want to welcome our friends up at our Kingsburg campus. So glad you're joining us this morning as well. And hey, we are starting a brand new teaching series that we're calling Sleeping Giant. And it's just going to be for a couple of weeks. And it's kind of a bit of a vision series, bit of a state of the church kind of thing. And so I just want to set expectations, especially for this morning. We are doing something a little different this morning, so it's not going to sort of be your classic, Forrest is up here sort of teaching the Bible. Rather, what I'm going to do today is show you what happens when a faith community comes together and is committed to the Jesus you discover in the Bible. I want to tell you a little bit about what Neighborhood has been up to over the last year, just give you a little bit of a report, if you will. Because I think it's important. We believe we're in this extended spiritual family that we call Neighborhood Church. And every once in a while, we need to say, hey, listen, this is what happens when a community comes together and follows Jesus. The needle moves. The needle moves in real lives and in real cities, and things begin to change. And so if you're one of these people who is already going to start typing me an email about there wasn't enough Bible, just relax. We'll get back to it next week, but this week is a little bit different. And so really for the next couple of weeks, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Neighborhood Church and how we sort of fit into sort of the grander story of the Christian church that's been going on for the last 2,000 years. And really, I was inspired by a couple of things, and here's sort of how we got here. The first is we're just a couple of Sundays away from the 1-year anniversary to when I was up here and I said, hey, we're going to start a campus in Kingsburg, that we're going to be one church in 2 locations. When I first announced that, it was almost a year ago. And then the other thing that inspired this quick little 2-week series is actually something I rediscovered on some church board notes from 66 years ago here at Neighborhood Church. I discovered them before, but somebody scribbled these on the back of like some typed out, sort of here was the board meeting itinerary. On the back, somebody had written a few notes, and here's what somebody wrote 66 years ago. Children and friends in present community, we must always keep their needs in mind. In whatever we do, provision must be made so that they will have an adequate church opportunity. Children and community for 66 years ago, the church leadership here at Neighborhood said, listen, no matter what we do, and in terms of every decision we make, let's always keep in mind a couple of things. Kids and people who are turning to Jesus. Let's keep those 2 groups in mind. No matter what decisions we make, they have to be a part of that decision. Children and community friends. Children and the people who are not here yet. For 66 years, we've been talking like that. Today, we do say it a little different. Instead of children, we often will use the phrase, hey, as a church, we're very committed to helping the next generation win. We want to help those coming behind us win. When we ask the question, what's the faith of the next generation worth? Our answer is always the same every time, everything. The faith of the next generation is worth everything. Why? Because if we miss a generation, the story of Jesus stops being told. And so the faith of the next generation means everything to us. And instead of community friends, we often will talk about being a church that wants to be outward facing. We want to be a church that makes it easy for people who are curious or asking questions about church and Jesus and the Bible and all of that stuff. So same heart from 66 years ago, same exact heart, just a little bit different language. And I would say not just 66 years, but we just recently turned 78 years old as a church. And our mission hasn't changed. Now, the way we go about it has changed a lot. In fact, there's a phrase that we've borrowed, but we love it. And it's just, hey, we are married at Neighborhood Church. We're married to our mission, but we date our model. We're married to what we're trying to accomplish as a church, but we sort of casually date how we accomplish the mission. We want to be deeply, stubbornly committed to why we're here, but how we do it, our model, our programs, our structures, always up for conversation, right? Always up. I mean, if we feel like something's not working, we just change it. We cancel it. We get rid of it. We tweak it. Which means if you attend Neighborhood Church, change is just going to be a part of your life, because we change stuff around here a lot, right? Because here's why. The moment an organization, the moment a church stops holding on to the mission, the why we're here tightly, what we start holding on to tightly is the method, right? And when that happens, we stop asking, is this effective? Is this working? And all we start saying is, well, that's the way we've always done it. And the way we've always done it, that's the fastest path to being totally irrelevant as a church. Slowly drifting into a place where we're more focused on the people that are already here and what they want, rather than the people that are not here yet. You've probably experienced a church like that. Neighborhood's a little different. We really care about and design lots of our environments, not every environment, but most of our environments are actually designed for people who are not here yet, so that you can say to a friend, come sit with me. Come sit with me. I know you've been hurt by church. I know you're not interested in church, but just come sit with me. Give Neighborhood Church a shot. Neighborhood Church is never going to be the kind of church that sits back and says, this is the way we've always done it. We will always ask the question, are we doing the best possible job to help the next generation win? Are we doing the best possible job to stay outward facing and Jesus focused? And if the answer to that question is ever no, then we'll change it. Even if it's good, we'll change it, because good is not our goal. Impact is our goal. And sometimes when you ask those questions, hey, are we being effective? Are we doing the best job we possibly can in terms of the next generation, in terms of the people who aren't here yet, in terms of saying Jesus, are we doing the best possible job? When you ask those questions, it will sometimes mean, as a church, we step out in faith. We take some risks. Now, they're educated and they're thoughtful and they're prayed through risks. But we'll take risks on behalf of Jesus and his kingdom. Now, I've been here almost 19 years at Neighborhood Church, but I've been the lead pastor for about 11. And the first time we really started asking this question as I've been the lead pastor was kind of right after I became the lead pastor here. At the time, we were one campus here in Visalia. We started asking the kinds of questions, hey, are we doing the best possible job? And what can we do to be more effective? And ultimately, those questions led to what we ended up calling the For Visalia campaign. And we introduced that language to be for Visalia, for our neighbors. And ultimately, what it led to was adding thousands of square feet for our kids' environments. I mean, thousands of square feet. It led to us adding 100 parking spots, not for people who are already here, but for the people who weren't here yet, so they'd have a place to park. It meant adding a patio out in front of the worship center so that we could grow our capacity for hospitality. I mean, it was a big step. It was such a big step. I'll tell you, there's a number attached to how big this step was. It was a $5 million step. And together, we stepped into it if you were here 10, 11 years ago. And here we are, 10, 11 years later. And you know what? Your generosity has been so incredible. We've actually already paid off 80%. 80% of that $5 million in 10 years, you guys have already paid off. So give yourselves a great big hand. And I will tell you this, here's what happens. We stepped out in faith, felt like this is what we were being invited into. And in those 10 years, we've doubled in size as a church. Actually, more than doubled in size as a church. Now on a Sunday morning, we have about 2,300 people that attend Neighborhood Church in person, not including online. About 2,300 people here every Sunday. We've tripled the number of kids in our kids' environments. We've baptized over 600 people, and we're out of parking spaces again, right? Now, I tell you all of that because this last year and really the last couple of years has felt like kind of 10 years ago, 11 years ago. It's kind of felt like that again. We've been in another season of asking honest questions. Hey, or what we're doing, is it the best we could be doing to live out and accomplish our mission? And we started to ask those questions as a leadership, and doors started to open. And honestly, they were doors we weren't necessarily expecting, but it led to some incredible things that you guys are, I think, mostly aware of. First, it led to a partnership with Connect Coffee. We actually have a full-time, 7-day-a-week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Coffee shop, and I would argue one of the best coffee shops in the area right here on our campus. And it's amazing. I mean, our parking lot's full all week long. It's just I'm so grateful for Eddie and Susie Perez, and not just for running a great business, but for the way they see what they do as partnership and ministry with Neighborhood Church. I love Connect Coffee, and you should spend all your money at Connect Coffee. So it didn't just lead to Connect Coffee, though. It led to the launch of a new campus in Kingsburg. Right? So right now, while you're sitting here in Visalia, there is a whole other Neighborhood Church in Kingsburg. We're one church, 2 locations, who are watching me on a big old screen. Right? We did that because we just felt like we needed to continue to make room for more people to encounter Jesus. It also led to the construction of the Neighborhood Community Center in the Houston neighborhood, essentially, basically on the Houston Elementary School property. In a partnership with Visalia Unified, we bought a little chunk of land adjacent to Houston Elementary, and we're building a community center that is literally almost done. I mean, it is just there. Be paying attention. The grand opening is actually going to be August 8th. And the building will be done before that, but we've got some things we need to do on the inside to make it sort of, visitor welcome. But August 8th, I want you to be at the ribbon cutting. Right? That community center is going to be home base for the nonprofit we started, Neighborhood Degree, that nonprofit that we launched essentially to go further, faster in terms of our capacity to add value to our city, the place that we call home, so that our city would not be confused, that they would know that even if you never believe what it is that we believe in you. And we want to invest in this city, and we want to do our part as a faith community to make this place better for everybody, not just ourselves. And here's the thing, when you step back and look at all of that, it's not random. This is what happens when a church stays committed, Jesus-centered, I would say, and committed to its mission. We stay open to where God might be leading next. And that everything I just talked about, they're not ideas. They're not just things we did. They represent real people. They represent real stories. They represent real lives being changed. And I want you to hear a little bit about that, and that's why there's a couple of other chairs up here with me this morning. I thought the best people to hear from is not me, but the people leading some of the things that we're currently doing. So I want to invite out onto the stage Jordan and Stephanie. Jordan Brokaw and Stephanie Bentham. Please give them a hand.
That's my queen wave,
Yeah,
princess wave.
Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it.
I specifically asked for entrance music. I don't know what happened.
Jordan is our campus pastor up at our Kingsburg location, and Stephanie runs our nonprofit. She's the director of our nonprofit, Neighborhood Degree, and she is doing all the things, Houston neighborhood and the Neighborhood Community Center, all of that. So what I wanted to do is just interview them for a couple of minutes and let you hear sort of from the lips of the people that are leading these initiatives, kind of the impact that they're having. And so, Jordan, I'll just start with you. Just real simple, how is it going? How's it going in Kingsburg?
First of all, big shout out to all our Kingsburg fam watching live with us now.
Yeah,
love you guys.
Kingsburg!
Miss you guys. No, it's growing great for us. And first of all, you mentioned earlier, we are one church in 2 locations. I come down here and people think that I went and started a new church or something. He's still my boss. For
yes,
better
I
or
am.
worse.
Don't
for
forget.
better or for worse. No, it's gone amazing for us. We are 6 months in to our Kingsburg campus. And it's kind of like having your first baby. The first year, everything feels like a milestone. We launched December 7th. We had our first Christmas Eve services. We did our first Super Bowl Sunday party with tailgating. We've done 4 projects. We did small groups together. And then we just recently had our first Easter Sunday. We had 250 people come out to celebrate Easter,
awesome.
which is great. I mean, yeah, it was awesome. Our campus is much, much smaller than this one, so when 250 people show up, it's a party.
Yeah.
No, it's been so cool. We are averaging about 150 to 200 folks showing up each Sunday. And beyond the numbers, what's been so cool is just to see the diversity of people who are showing up to Neighborhood Church Kingsburg. From the beginning, we are a campus that is reflecting the diversity of the city we serve. And I don't know, I think there's maybe a stereotype that everyone who lives in Kingsburg is Swedish or something, because of all the Swedish stuff downtown. But it is a vibrant, diverse community. And when I stand up there, I see people from different backgrounds, ethnicities, socioeconomic realities, people who have been following Jesus for a long time, people who have never stepped foot in a church. And so it's a really, really exciting time for us. One question for us that I know you get a lot, that I've gotten a lot, especially as we were launching, is why Kingsburg? Why did we launch our first ever multi-site campus in Kingsburg? It's a smallish town, about 13,000 folks. And people say, Jordan, aren't there already a ton of churches up there? And it's true, they have this beautiful downtown. It's like being in a Hallmark movie. You drive down the street and there's beautiful cathedrals and churches and steeples everywhere. But when we looked at the data, of those 13,000 people, around 6,000 folks said, hey, we are unchurched. We are not connected to a faith community. And when you look at the broader region, Selma, Reedley, Dinuba, that number continues to go up. And actually, as we started meeting with some of the local faith leaders and pastors in Kingsburg, who, by the way, have been so kind and welcoming to us, they said, if anything, that number is low. There are a lot of people who are not connected to a faith family. So we see it as a huge opportunity to launch a Jesus-centered, outward-focused church in Kingsburg. And people are showing up. It's been awesome.
That's amazing. I love that so much. So what's... I guess tell us what you're hearing from our neighborhood church folks, just in terms of feedback. I mean, how's it going? What are you hearing?
Yeah.
What are they excited about?
So many cool stories these first 6 months, and there's one story I keep hearing over and over again. Someone will come up to me on a Sunday, and they'll say, hey, Jordan, guess what? My neighbor's here for the first time. I'm like, that's so cool. I'd love to meet them. They go, no, Jordan, you don't get it. I've been inviting this person to church for years. I've been praying for this person for years, and I never, ever would have thought they would have stepped foot on a church campus. I would have never thought they'd had an opportunity to hear about Jesus. And that's super exciting. In fact, we had one person come check us out, and people kept coming up to me, and they say, you see that guy over there? I would never in a million years ever think that person would ever come to church. And I'm like, that's how we know we're doing it right.
Yep,
that's the type of church we want to be. We are Jesus-centered and outward-focused. We work really hard to create a church environment where people who are far from God, people who are unchurched, basically a space that they want to attend and that they feel comfortable and that they can be authentic and that they can belong before they believe. So we're really seeing that affirmed in our first 6 months. Another story real quick for us. I've got to meet an awesome couple up there named Rocky and Lila Pizor. If you're watching, hi guys, love you. They started coming right when we launched. And one Sunday for us, you were teaching, and we did communion afterwards. They had brought their 13-year-old grandson. And in the middle of communion, he looked at them with tears in his eyes and said, I want to make a decision to follow Jesus today. Can you help me do that? And so I got to meet with him afterwards, and we high-fived, and we celebrated and pointed him to next steps. And Rocky and Lila are often giving me updates about him. But those are the real human stories we're seeing up there. And we could talk numbers and dollars donated, but at the end of the day, it's all about individual lives being impacted for Jesus. So we're excited.
I love that. Oh, that's so exciting. I mean, that's exactly the kind of church we want to be, right? A church where, you can belong before you believe, and it's a comfortable place to say, hey, come sit with me. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Lots of people here at the Visalia campus. How can we be praying for our Kingsburg campus? What are some specific things you're hoping to be able to step into up in Kingsburg?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for continuing to pray for us. 3 things I would ask for you today. 1, pray that people would continue to show up. You know, we've launched this campus. We've renovated the facilities. We're out there throwing parties, doing awesome stuff, and people are showing up. It's awesome. We want more people to show up. Mm-hmm. We want Jesus to reach the folks he wants to reach in Kingsburg. And so just pray that God would continue to draw people onto that campus, into our small groups, into our events and parties in the community. We want to love our neighbors. So that would be prayer request number 1. Number 2 would be that our community would continue to engage as people would show up, that they would take next steps, that they would serve on teams, that they would show up for our small groups and experience community, that they would continue to practice generosity and help us continue to build financial sustainability as a brand new campus. It's an upfront investment launching a campus. And so we have so many wonderful, wonderful people who are serving diligently every week, who are practicing generosity. We've got people who are inviting everyone they meet. My friend Stan, he did like a Facebook marketplace sale with someone who's like, hey, by the way, do you want to come to my church this Sunday? We've got an amazing community that are mobilized. And so we want people to show up, but we also want them to lean in.
Love that.
And then lastly, I know it's a lot of prayer requests, but the third one would be that we would continue to find favor with our community. We've had the opportunity to meet city leaders, people at the school district. We just want every opportunity to show Kingsburg that we're not just there for a moment. It's not just a pop-up. We are there. We are part of the community, and we want to be good neighbors. So pray that we would have opportunities to continue endearing ourselves to the community, and living out that for Kingsburg posture.
Last question, and this is by far the most important question I could possibly ask you. Where should we eat in Kingsburg?
Now you're throwing the hardball questions. You know, for a small town, there's so many good spots to eat. I try and turn every meeting into a lunch meeting. Yes. People are like, would you pray for my cat? And I'm like, let's go to lunch, and we'll talk about that, every meeting. No, there's Corsaro's, amazing local pizza. We've got Los Pepes for Mexican food. Tom's Donuts, number 2. I don't know where Tom's Donuts number 1 is, but I love the sequel. Tom's Donuts number 2. But I would say bar none, my favorite spot, which is weird because this is a town it's known for being Swedish, but Koji's Japanese Bento to go, best teriyaki bowls I've had in the valley. Amazing owners. So come on up, come see me in Kingsburg. We'll pray together and eat teriyaki. How's that sound?
That's amazing. I love that. Yes. Thanks, Jordan. Love that. Okay, Stephanie. So Stephanie, again, she is the director of our nonprofit that we started here at Neighborhood Church called Neighborhood Degree. And you've been here 18 years. You've worked here at Neighborhood Church for 18 years, which means her and I have worked together for 18 years, which is...
I should get a medal.
Yeah, which is... I should pray for me, really, is what needs to happen. No, but so you've seen, we've been down in the Houston neighborhood walking alongside families for 20 years. So you've essentially been there the entire time. At one point, you even moved into the neighborhood. Did you live there for
7 years.
7 years, which is incredible. Really cemented sort of our relationship with the community, built so much trust for our church with that community. Really incredible. But over the years, we've shifted our strategy. We've shifted our model. We've asked those questions I was talking about before you guys came out. Hey, are we being effective? Are we accomplishing the mission? And as a result, over the 18 years, we've tried and started and stopped lots of things. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we've really sort of landed on a particular model that we think is gonna really help us get to where we want to go. And so I guess I just want you to sort of unpack a little bit that journey and what it is we're doing and why it is we're doing it that way.
Yeah, 18 is a lot of years. It's a long time, but I've loved all of our Houston journey from where we started, giving out backpacks and helping with coats and shoes. And then as we got to know families more and more, we started asking more questions. That's the beauty of being in the same place for 20 years, is that we get to watch kids grow. We get to watch families. We get deeper relationships. And when I moved into the neighborhood, I got to know parents, and they became my good friends and my neighbors. And there was a few years ago, after one of our Christmas store events, that I walked home feeling really discouraged, which was really weird because it's one of the happiest, most fun days of the year for me. But I realized what made it really fun was that I knew most of the parents there. We had seen them at Christmas store year after year and built relationships with them. And Christmas store is awesome. If you've never been, we turn this place into a giant toy store, and parents get to come and buy gifts for their kids at 90% off. And for about 95% of families in the Houston neighborhood, they're living below the federal poverty line, but they're working. And they're working hard to support their kids. So when they come to the store, they get the dignity of being able to pick out what their kid wants and pay for it without the financial cost. But I thought, is this the best we can do? I mean, I know these families. I know they're working 2 or 3 jobs to support their kids, but every year they're in the same spot and they're stuck. Like, why are they stuck when they're working so hard? And is this the best that love can do? Is this what loving our neighbor looks like? It's so good, but what else could we do? And so we started looking at that and going, okay, well, what is happening in our community? And when you look at the numbers in our community, a lot of families are working minimum wage jobs, which means even if they're working full-time, 40 hours a week, they're making about $28,000 a year. And the federal poverty line for a family of 4 is $33,000. So even if they're working full-time, they're not even hitting the federal poverty line. But that's a national average. Everybody knows in California, it costs a little more to live here. So in California, they estimate it takes about $60,000 to raise a family here, which means they can be working full-time and earning less than half of what it takes to support their family, which is why we see families at the Christmas store year after year. So we started asking a different question. How can we change that? How can we not just alleviate poverty? How could we end the cycle of poverty that we see in our city? How do we help that next generation of kids access higher paying jobs so they can move out of poverty and move themselves and their families forward? Well, the U.S. Bureau of Labor put out a study that says the difference in earnings between having a high school diploma and a college degree is about $1 million of additional income over a lifetime. That one degree could be $1 million difference in someone's life. That having that one degree could literally change the trajectory of a kid's life. And so that's why we started Neighborhood Degree. A few years ago, we said, how can we help kids access higher paying jobs? Well, they're gonna need some kind of degree after high school, trade school, college, something. So we created a pathway to follow kids from kindergarten all the way through a college or trade school degree so that they could have opened up opportunity for themselves and their families to move forward. And so today, with Neighborhood Degree, we have about 500 volunteers, many of you that volunteer every year to walk alongside about 700 kids and 350 families. And in the last 5 years, we've helped 80 students start their college journeys. 80 students at COS and Fresno State.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to Cal Poly, UCSB, we've got one at Stanford, and already 12 of them have finished degrees. They've already graduated, which is really significant.
So cool. Yeah,
Because that is hard to do. But when you look at the data about Visalia, there's a study that came out last year that ranked the largest 150 cities in America based on education. And Visalia was ranked 150th out of 150 cities. We are the least educated large city in America. And when you look at the stats of the Houston neighborhood, US Census says that there's less than 10% that hold a degree after high school, which is 393 degrees in the whole neighborhood. And when our 80 students graduate, we're gonna raise that statistic by 20%.
Crazy. Yeah,
And it's gonna keep going. I mean, every year we are graduating more and more kids. And when you think about the difference that one degree, if one degree can make $1 million difference in a kid's life, think about what 80 or 100 or 200 degrees is going to do to that community and to our city. And the impact doesn't even stop with just that one kid, because we also know that their siblings are more likely to earn a degree. Their children, their future grandchildren, are far more likely to earn higher degrees because that one student did. So the ripple effect goes for generations. And then the other ripple effect that we usually don't even talk about is that higher degrees can lead to higher wages, but higher wages also lead to higher tax revenue for a city, which tax revenue funds schools and parks and roads and public safety. And that all of that goes up. So when one kid moves out of poverty, the whole community benefits. So if we want better roads and parks, if we want a Trader Joe's in Visalia, then we need to help kids go to college. Trader Joe's won't come to Visalia because we don't have a high enough college graduation rate. This issue affects all of us, whether we're aware of it or not. That when we work for the good of one kid in our city, we're actually working for the good of everyone in our city. And I love that, because when Jesus tells us to love our neighbors, it is good for our neighbors. Like, loving our neighbors is good for Houston kids, but it's also good for you and for me and for all of Visalia.
That's incredible. Those statistics are so compelling. And again, it's just that move from, hey, let's hand out school backpacks every year to let's eliminate generational poverty. Let's go after it in a bit. Let's prevent the need for having to pass out backpacks every year. That's a big task, and I'm very grateful you took it on, and that together we've taken it on.
A lot of people took it on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that you are willing to lead us in that journey just is so incredible. But here's the thing. Statistics are really moving, and they're great, and those are very compelling. But this isn't about stats. This is about real lives, real people that you know. They have names. They have stories. Do you have one or two that you can just tell us that it's like, yeah, this is what this looks like in real life with real people?
Yeah, we have hundreds of stories. It's hard just to narrow it down. But when I think about being around for a couple of decades, what's really fun is I knew all these kids when they were this big. They played basketball in my driveway. They were our lunch buddy kids, and now they're the ones that are going to college. So a couple of stories for you. One is the Ponce family, one of my favorite families. Mom, Maria, this is her and her 3 girls at our park grand opening in 2015. She's a single mom. She doesn't speak English, but she made sure her girls were at everything that we did. And they always showed up dressed perfectly with big bows in their hair, and they painted over graffiti and helped us plant trees in the park, and they were involved in all of our programs. Maria made sure that when they were in high school, they all went to our launch program to prepare for college. And today, the oldest has graduated COS. She's transferring to Chico. She's majoring in art, wants to be a museum curator. The second daughter is a sophomore at Stanford, and I asked her, hey, are you coming home this summer? I'd love to take you to coffee. She's like, oh, I've got an international business internship in Brazil, and then I'm going to China, but I'll get back to you in September. And then the youngest is graduating this year. She has applied to lots of UCs, CSUs. She's still deciding where she's going to end up next year. But I think about Maria and how hard that she's worked to support her girls. And this fall, she's going to have 3 daughters in college. And if you asked her, how did you do that? She would tell you she didn't do it alone. She's told me on numerous occasions how grateful she is for all the volunteers, the mentors, other Houston parents that have walked alongside her girls every step of the way. And then the other family I want to tell you about is the Olivares family. Just like the Ponce family, they showed up to everything that we did. My parents are awesome. They've got 6 kids, and they did everything with us. And I had the privilege of watching these kids grow up. And now the oldest, Aixa, is a college graduate. She came back this year and was a mentor in our high school program, helping another kid apply for college. The next one, Andrew, joined the National Guard. Now he's back at COS with his brother Dominic. And then they're mentors for us in our junior high and our 6th grade programs. They were soccer coaches with us. Jessica, kid number 4, is graduating from high school this year, headed to COS in the fall. And the 2 younger ones are in that same pathway to college. They're going to follow their siblings right up. And when I think about this family and how hard these parents have worked and how they modeled showing up and serving their community, and now to get to see these kids follow in their parents' footsteps, that they've become the mentors and the volunteers for the next generation of Houston kids. And I could go on and on because we have about 25 of our college kids that intern with us, and they've all become the volunteers and the mentors that are modeling for these younger kids that college is possible. We got 2 of them that started a cheer team this year, our first ever cheer team at Houston School. And they're getting to look up to these girls who are earning degrees. And when I think about the degree that they're earning, that $1 million difference it's gonna make in their life, but then think about all these little girls, how they're looking up to them, and that full circle effect of pouring in everything that's been poured into them by all of you. They're pouring that back into the next generation of kids.
That's so cool. Hey, let's thank these guys again. Just thank you for spending a few minutes with us. Wow. I mean, that's the church you attend. I mean, you're helping us do all of this. And it's just so incredible. And I think it's very easy. It's very easy to feel sort of inspired. I think it's easy to say, wow, that's amazing. But here's what I don't want you to miss. None of what you just heard happened by accident. None of it is random. It's the result of something. It's the result of a group of people who over time have chosen to live open-handed with what God has entrusted them with. That's what happens. This is what happens. This is what happens. When there's a group of people who just say, I know that I've got this chunk of stuff, but I'm gonna commit, but it's not mine anyways. It's all God's anyway. And I'm gonna give a chunk of that into a mission that I believe is gonna have a return in terms of changed lives. And that's how everything you just heard happens. And so yeah, for just a minute, so just relax. Last service got so weird. I do wanna talk about money for 1 minute. Just relax. I'm not going to guilt you. I'm not going to do anything. But I just want to tell you kind of how it works and why this is such an important conversation. See, I think most of us are pretty generous people. In fact, I know you all are very generous people. When you see a need here, when we bring a need to the table here at Neighborhood Church, you all respond crazy. I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, when something breaks, y'all step in. When there's a moment in front of us, you give. And that is a very, very good thing. But here's the tension. Here's the tension. Most of us are really good at responding to problems, but we're not as intentional about preventing the problems. And what we've done with Neighborhood Degree is such a great example. At first we were responding to problems. Here's a backpack. You need a backpack for school, here's a backpack. There's a problem, you don't have a backpack, we're gonna get you the backpack. And we've switched to say, yeah, but what if we prevented the need? What if we could do something about preventing the need for someone ever needing a backpack? What could we do? Now that's a weirder thing. That's a harder problem to solve because we're just not as intentional about preventing problems as we are at solving problems. We love solving problems we can see. We love to prevent problems, but we're not great at preventing problems that we may never see or never hear about. But here's what I know. I've been working full-time vocationally in churches for 30 years, my entire adult life. It's all I've done. It's all I know. And here's what I've learned about the local church. In those 30 years, the local church, a church like Neighborhood Church, we are one of the most powerful forces, when we do it right, we're one of the most powerful forces of prevention in the world, right? The marriage that didn't fall apart. The student who made a different decision, chose the right path instead of the wrong path. The kid who grew up knowing they mattered. The person who found community before their life fell apart. The church is able to do that. Now here's the challenge. We can't always measure that. We'll never know the conversation that didn't happen because of the local church. The bad decision that wasn't made because of the impact the local church had on it. The life that stayed on a different path because someone was connected to a local church. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. Just because we can't measure it all doesn't mean it doesn't matter. In fact, you could make the case that it matters more, that prevention, while always quieter than intervention, is always, I believe, more powerful. And listen, again, we are great at intervention. In fact, last week, I came to you with an intervention problem, right? I told you, if you were here last week, we got a phone call from Rayford Johnson Junior High. And they said, hey, you said if we ever had a need, to call you. We're taking a chance, we're calling. We've got some 8th graders that we want to throw a party for as they promote to high school, and we don't have any money for that. We don't have a dime. And we can't do what we really want to do. Could you help? Could you help? So I told you last week, I said yes on your behalf, assuming you'd respond, that you'd intervene, right? And you did. They thought, we said, what do you need? What do you need? You know what they said? They said, well, the whole thing might cost us $1,000, but if you could just give a couple hundred towards that, that would be so amazing. Here's what you did. I mean, I don't know if you already know, but here's what y'all did. I said, why don't we give $4 each so that we could be for Kingsburg and for Rayford Johnson? Y'all raised $6,800 last week. Yeah. I mean, we called them, they were speechless. Jordan went up, made a video with one of their administrators. I mean, it's just like, whoa. Not only are we taking care of the 8th grade party, now there's money in the bank for them to bless their teachers, to throw other parties, to provide opportunities for students. I mean, all because you intervened. And again, that's very noticeable. We can measure that. In fact, this is crazy. Also, someone who does pizza that attends here, they heard me talk about this, so they called Rayford Johnson and said, we'll take care of the pizza. So not only did they get $6,800, they also got lunch taken care of for the kids. They also, someone who does like photo booth kind of things who attends here, they called Rayford Johnson and said, hey, we'll show up and we'll do the photo booth thing for the 8th grade party. It's on us. That's what intervention looks like. And again, it's measurable, it's exciting, it's emotional, right? But preventative, and again, that's one time. We can just, yes, here's my $4. But when we start talking about preventative, it's quieter. Can't always measure it. And the impact of being a preventative kind of church, it doesn't happen through occasional generosity. Oh, Forrest said something very inspiring I'm going to give today. The way preventative church happens is through consistent, intentional generosity, through people who just make the decision ahead of time. This is just gonna be a part of my life. I believe in the mission of Neighborhood Church, and I'm gonna give $25 a month, every month. They can count on it. It's a rhythm. We create rhythm as a priority so that together we can be a preventative force in the world. Not reactive, but proactive. Not emotional, but intentional. And listen, Jesus actually speaks directly into this. Jesus said something that's kind of hard to hear, but when you're uncomfortable, just know I didn't come up with this. Jesus did. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Where your money is, that's what defines your heart. Jesus is not guilting anybody. He's simply creating an invitation. If you want to know what matters the most, follow your money. If you want your heart to move in a certain direction, start putting your money there. What you do with your money is never about money, it's always about your heart. Oh, that's a hard thing to hear. And if you're here and just generosity has never really been a part of your faith journey, your Jesus journey, I want to invite you to consider what Jesus is saying here. Not because Neighborhood Church needs your money, but because Jesus is saying something about your money and about your faith journey with him that says, listen, your heart and your money are never separated. You cannot separate them. It does not work. You can't compartmentalize this stuff. And so it's just, hey, will you take a step? Not a huge step, just a step to begin to say, you know what? This feels really hard. And you're right, it's the hardest part of our journey with Jesus. But I'm gonna start being intentional about this. So here's my $25 a month. Here's my $50 a month. And listen, if you're here and you're already doing this, just know we are so good. You are literally, your name is on all of this. On all of this. And just know, I don't know your name. I don't look up and judge all of you when you walk in because I looked and saw who gave and who didn't. I do not do that. I have no idea. This is about your faith journey with Jesus and you saying, I believe the local church is the best return on investment I could ever get. And you just heard what's happening around here. But if you're here and you're already giving and your generosity is already, you're the reason all this is happening. You're the reason the stories exist. You're the reason we can step into moments like this with confidence. But if you're not, maybe generosity is just one of those places your faith can grow. And again, not because your church needs something from you, but because I think Jesus wants something for you. That what you do with your money, Jesus is so clear about this, is connected to your heart. It's not just practical, this is deeply spiritual. And so here's my suggestion, just my suggestion. Come up with a plan. Don't be interventional, be preventative. Help us be a preventative church. So that you just say, yes, I'm gonna be a part of that, so that our church can continue to step into every door that opens, so that we can keep being a preventative force for good in the world. We say it like this, that your planned generosity, your like consistent, I'm not just gonna throw the few bucks I have in my pocket in the box in the back, but I'm gonna be consistent every month. They can count on that. Your planned generosity, it allows us to be, your predictable generosity allows us to be predictably great as a church, predictably powerful as a church in terms of being a preventative force for good in the world. It allows us to keep showing up week after week, creating environments, opening doors, meeting people where they are. Spontaneous generosity is great, but predictable generosity allows a local church to be predictably great. It allows us to say yes to moments, to step into opportunities without hesitation, without sort of scrambling. And I say that because this has been one of those years where we've stepped out in faith, where doors have opened and we've walked in them believing Jesus invited us to walk in them. We didn't plan on starting a campus in Kingsburg. That door opened. We prayed it through. We, as a leadership, we said, yes, we believe Jesus asked us to walk through, so we did. Right? Listen, and so as a result of this, as a result of these doors opening, Community Center, and Kingsburg campus, currently our vision as a church is our opportunity to be a preventative force for good is outpacing our funding right now as a church. Now, again, we knew this was gonna happen. We planned for this. Because your vision outpacing funding isn't the worst problem to have. It just means there's so much opportunity in front of us, more opportunity than we have resource for. But I want to invite you, invite you to say, would you partner with us? As a response to your faith in Jesus, would you partner with Neighborhood Church and be a part of all the stories that you've heard? Again, not out of pressure, not out of guilt, just a response to what God's done for you and what you see him doing here. It's not about keeping something going. It's about continuing something. It's making real difference in real lives every single week. And I believe very much our best days are still in front of us. And I just want you to be a part of it. I really do. And so it's very easy. Here it is, and we'll get out of here because we're late. All you got to do is download the PushPay app, and actually it's even easier. Just text this number to text NC Visalia to 77977. You'll get a link that'll help you download the PushPay app, and then you pick a number. You just pick a number and say, you know what, I am gonna take a step of faith with Jesus. I'm gonna give X amount of dollars every month or every week or every time I get paid or whatever it is. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it today. And I'm gonna be a part of all the stories you heard. Next week, I promise, on Salsa Sunday, I'm not gonna talk about money. So just bring your friends, tell them to come sit with you. And if you're already typing the email about, how this was a timeshare, lecture or whatever, just relax, okay? Listen, at the end of the day, do I believe this is about your journey with Jesus? Absolutely, and that generosity and that your treasure and heart are connected? 100%. Absolutely, that's the motivation for giving. Are we as Neighborhood Church also a nonprofit and sometimes we just need to talk about money? Yes, so just relax, okay? Just relax about it, it's fine, we love you. And but I really do hope that you'll take advantage of this and be a part of it. So, can I pray and we'll get out of here? Jesus, thanks so much for this morning and for what you're doing. It's so incredible to hear the stories, the impact, the life change, the community change, that our ability and capacity as a local church to be a preventative force for good in the city and in the two cities we represent continues to grow as people grow in their faith with you, Jesus. And that they begin to see that their treasure and their heart cannot be separated. Jesus, thank you that we get to be a part of a local church like Neighborhood. We're so grateful. So grateful for everyone in here, their generosity, their desire to be about making things better for people. on your behalf and in the name of your love, Jesus. It's pretty incredible. So we love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.